worked with is they don't understand or comprehend the importance of asking questions. Whenever you get done teaching something, you say, are there any questions? Usually very few people raise their hands. Questions are so important. And so this little technique is used to drive home the point of how important questions are. I've often used this analogy. I talk to the kids and explain to them, you know, no matter how well a person teaches something or explains something, there's always questions. They follow you wherever you go. For example, look at these cards. I have a bunch of blank cards here. They're all blank, actually. Both sides, nothing on them. But we're going to play a little game. I'm going to drop the cards down one at a time, and I want you to simply say stop whenever you feel like you want to. At any point, just say stop. And at some point, the student will say stop. You take that card, put it in front of them, and you place the cards back on top. You tell them to sign their name across it. So let's say their name is Jim. And Jim signs his name. And you say, isn't that interesting, Jim? Out of all of these cards, as I showed you before, they're all blank. I mentioned before that we always have questions, don't we? But questions aren't something to be embarrassed about. By asking questions, we learn more and we understand a subject better. You see, it's important to always find the questions, because behind the question is an answer. Now, how does this work? It's very simple. You have a bunch of question cards. I have about 10 of them here. I think I had about 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, maybe not 10. There they are. You start off with a bunch of question cards. One side has the question mark on it. The rest of them are legitimately blank cards. Okay, there's nothing on either side of these blank cards. Okay, this is the one that Jim signed. Okay, the question cards go on top of the pile, and I add 3 extra cards on top. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 legitimate blank cards, then all the question cards, like that. We'll move this one aside so it doesn't confuse us. You go through the 2 top cards and you can turn them over safely because they are legitimately blank, you know, or the 3, you can go 3. See, these are all blank cards. You see, all the cards are blank. And then you turn over the cards and show that they're blank, okay? You show the top 3 that they're blank, then you turn over all the cards, and then you can fan through and say, see, they're all blank. These are just blank cards. And then you can turn them back over and then just fan this side and say, see, I'm going to have you select one of these cards. And then you simply start dealing. After you get to the 3rd card, you say, I want you to say stop at some point as I go through. Now, wherever they say stop, you stop. Now, they're going to stop somewhere between 8 and 10. If you get a kid who keeps going, you know, and you get past your cards, you can count how many you have. I believe I had 10. So as I go through, you'll also be able, I just put a little logo on there. I just printed it off the computer and pasted it on poster board. That's all I did. I can feel it, each one. It's a little rough. When I go, if you go past, you explain, you know, we don't have enough time for you to take all day. You just have to pick one card at one point and then just pick them up and start doing it again. Okay? If they tease you about it and they just keep going. But usually people stop within the first 5 to 8 cards. Wherever they stop, you take that card, push it in front of them, and then have them sign their name with the big marker or whatever you want. And when they turn it over, it will be the only card in the deck that has the question mark. Then you replace these cards on top and you can turn the cards over again and say, amongst all these blank cards, you pick the only question mark. Okay? You're showing the bottom cards, which are all blank. The top ones that have the marks on them just stay on top. You don't spread that far. Then you can turn this over again and say, you see, they're all blank. Okay, now in that case, I spread over all the cards with the logos on it and I pushed them together, so when I turn it over, it shows another blank side. And you just play with it, and you'll get the hang of it. You'll be able to show all these cards as blank. Now, you'll make a few mistakes the first time you spread them out. That's okay, don't worry about it. Another thing that you can do is the last card of your question marks. I do this too, just as a safeguard. You can put a little black dot See how I have a little black dot in the corner? I don't know if you could see that or not. It's just a little black dot right there. And that tells me that's the last question card. So if I get to this point and I have a wise guy who I have my 2 or 3 on top, and I go through like this, and I see that one at the end, I know when I'm going to be coming to an L. So you got to stop me at some point. And if you get to the last one, then you can say, look, I'm not kidding, you got to stop me at some point. Okay, I mean, it doesn't really matter. They're all blank. You can turn them over and say, see, they're all blank. And then you just keep dealing again, and they'll say stop whenever. Okay, that's if you get someone who goes far. Usually they don't. So anyway, that's called a good question.